Okay. MultiVersus has finally returned to us after almost a year of being offline, and things are not looking too hot. I'm going to be honest here. I'm a little disappointed, but also not super surprised. I always knew the game was going to relaunch with a few kinks, but this is a little ridiculous. But let's have a quick history lesson. MultiVersus is a Warner Bros. Themed crossover platform fighter that launched in an open beta format all the way back in July of 2022. And at the time, it was honestly a runaway success, launching with a peak player count of around 144,000 players, which made it the most successful launch for a fighting game on PC. And those numbers would soon climb to an astronomical 20 million users, thanks to the game being multi-platform. It also helped that the game was fun to play despite its issues like weird hitboxes, netcode problems, and whatever this was. And the team, Player First Games, was very open and communicative as well. The game even won Fighting Game of the Year at the 2022 Game Awards, which was pretty impressive. But as the saying goes, the honeymoon phase is a bitch. And soon enough, MultiVersus would start running into issues. Ranging from slow content updates, key features like ranked and arcade mode were missing for a while, before eventually being added, but it didn't help that those modes had issues like broken AI, lag, and glitches galore. It was just a bunch of issues that piled on top of each other one after the other. It was too much to handle for Player First Games, and they would eventually announce that the game would be taken completely offline by June 25th of 2023, in order to prepare for a full launch of the game the following year. A move that was met with some severe backlash from players. Players who put actual money buying the microtransactions and cosmetics that were being taken away from them unexpectedly. It definitely left a sour taste in the players' mouths who, whenever the game was to be relaunched, weren't going to be as easily won over as last time. As the saying goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Wow, that was a little prophetic. Fast forward to March of 2024 where Tony Hugh, the game's director, finally gave us the details on what was to come, and in retrospect, it wasn't really that much. The whole video was like, yeah, we're still alive and working on the game. Look, we're in Unreal Engine now. I'm obviously exaggerating, but that's honestly how I felt after the quick dopamine hype subsided. This was followed by a couple of weeks of posting funny pictures instead of, actually talking about what they were changing and adding in detail. They would occasionally talk about that, only to be followed by NHL marketing stunts. Yeah, these weeks were just frustrating. So much so that I actually planned on potentially making a video talking about my concerns. But I decided to just wait things out. Maybe some things will change? And that they did. Slowly. Around 4 to 5 weeks before the game was scheduled to come out was when they finally started to bite the bullet on giving us what we wanted. Joker was revealed to be one of the first new characters, excellently reprised by Mark Hamill. Then came updates about mechanics, PvE modes, and even more characters. It was honestly kind of insane and I was actually starting to get excited for the game. But I still asked myself, why did they wait so long to give us these juicy details? The obvious answer being dev time and all. But could you imagine if the Stars Collide trailer was played after the developer update? That would have been huge, and it would let us know upfront that they were being serious. I wouldn't have been so worried about what they were up to and if they were actually going to deliver. Which begs the question, did they deliver on expectations? So at the time I'm recording this, MultiVersus has been out for about a week now. And to say the game has issues is putting it a little bit lightly. And we'll get to that very soon, but before we continue, I would like to disclose some details. I never played this game when it was in open beta. Yes, soccer I know. But I did know people who did play it, and I watched some streamers dig around in the game when it was at its peak. So everything you're about to hear is from a newcomer's perspective to this game. Which I think is important because if MultiVersus is to grow and survive, it needs to be appealing and accommodating to new players. So after a week of playing, how do I feel about the game? Oh boy. Okay, let's start with the positives. Presentation-wise, this game scores well with me. Character models are expressive and full of life. Animations also look pretty nice. High marks also go to the audio aspects like the voice acting and the music. I was surprised to see how many actors who played the original characters they were able to bring into the fold. Matthew Lillard, Mark Hamill, Jeremy Sada, Kevin Conroy, rest in peace. They were even able to bring back Estelle, which is impressive for all sorts of reasons. Though Steven is clearly voiced by a different actor, and it shows.
Steven Universe here, ready to be a hero.
Yeah, that is not Zach Callison. Warner Brothers is definitely the company that has the money to pull in all these actors and have them record all these unique lines of dialogue.
I'd love to try one of those cookie cats. They're not really from space, right?
Stick with me, kid. I'll show you the ropes and the chains. Does that lasso really make everyone tell the truth?
After all the IP negotiation to get us in one place, this is how you treat me?
Now going back to the music, while I said I liked it, I would have really loved some more genre variety. If I were to generalize for a bit, the music comes in a few different flavors. Orchestral, synth, and what I'm just gonna call a wildcard genre. Stuff like chiptune or drum and bass mixed with guitar. Again, all of it's fine, but I wouldn't really say it's too memorable. That's one of the aspects of Smash that I absolutely love, its remixes. So much variety, experimentation, and customizability. From looking at the OST, certain stages have 2 different songs that can play at random. So it's like Melee and how that game handled its music. Or at least that's how I remember to handle its music. I haven't played it in forever. But some of these I do find a little redundant. Like, did we really need the Steven Universe theme remixed twice? Where's the remix of Stronger Than You, Other Friends, hell even the Cookie Cat song? Similar thing goes for Batman. Having Danny Elfman's theme from Batman 89 is awesome, but what about a remix for stuff like Batman the Brave and the Bold? How about some of the music from the NES Batman games? The Adam West series? Hell, a remix of the Batman theme would be pure sex. And I'm not talking about that one, I'm talking about this one. That never gets old. Another thought, how about getting music tracks from other licensed games of Warner Brothers properties? This is probably never going to happen for obvious logistics and legal reasons, but my god, it would be cool to have some music from Sheepdog and Wolf on PS1. Or that 3DS Adventure Time game developed by WayForward, the first one. That had some good music. Just imagine if you could replace the menu music with tracks like the chapter select from that one Powerpuff Girls reboot game on iOS. I would say mods could fix this, but this game doesn't support mods. Bummer. But one detail about the actual music that I do like is how it's chopped up into several pieces that can be played in different circumstances. If, for example, you're in the Batcave stage and you have one stock left, the theme intensifies. And when you finally take off all your opponent's stocks and you hit the results screen, the music will crescendo. Good stuff. One little nitpick about the UI. It's a bit too bland for my taste. Yeah, it gets the job done in terms of readability and clarity, but where's the pizzazz? The flair? Let's look at Smash Ultimate's menus, or Guilty Gear. Hell, even Nicktoons All-Star Brawl 2 has more style in its menus. And it even uses some of the same shapes. But that aside, let's finally talk about the gameplay. Well, I could just call it Smash Brothers with Warner Brothers characters. I mean, that's kind of what it is. There are a couple of neat additions and tweaks to the formula that separate it from its contemporaries. Blocking or shielding in this game is essentially non-existent. Unless you're Steven or Wonder Woman. The only defensive option characters get is a spot dodge that can also turn into a roll. Grabs also aren't really a thing outside of certain character kits. You can parry attacks, which can stun an opponent, giving you an advantage. Characters have armor breaking moves indicated by this purple effect that can break through armored moves. And in general, the movement in this game feels weird. Kind of like you're on the moon or you're underwater. It's hard to describe, but I'm pretty sure looking at the footage you'll see what I mean. It's something that you have to play to just feel it out. And the hit stun in this is insane. All of this stuff is new to the full release. And just from looking at any gameplay footage of the beta, shows a night and day difference. Much faster speed, actual tech that was gutted in this version, and just look at the characters, it's just zipping around and all that. And unsurprisingly, players are not too fond of this. Now, since I didn't play the beta, I can't say for myself if the old version was better, but from just looking at older footage, it makes it very tempting for me to say that. But to be honest, I've gotten used to the new feel. Mostly. Because every once in a while, something just trips me up and I'm just like, is that how that's supposed to work? Also, the offstage game here is insane. Since, to my knowledge, every character can infinitely wall jump, offstage play can just become comically stupid, but an enjoyable kind of stupid. The tutorial in the beginning does an average job at explaining the bare basics of the mechanics, but if you want deeper insight, you'll need to head over to the glossary and read some of the plain-ass text, which also goes for looking at character movesets. Not to mention Smash so many times, but what else do you want me to do? Ultimate at least had images corresponding to a specific move, giving you a visual representation. I'm pretty sure other fighting games, hell, other games I played also have an option where it shows a GIF, showing off the move in action. It's something that I can honestly live with, but it wouldn't hurt just giving out the suggestion. So now that we have the mechanics down, what do we have in terms of gameplay modes? Stuff to sink our teeth into. For PvP, as of right now, it's only 1v1 or 2v2, which the game blatantly nudges you into the direction of. 2v2s are one of MultiVersus' big selling points. Many of the perks, which kind of act like custom moves and equipment sets in Smash 4, are specifically meant and most useful in team matches. Some character moves also have dual uses that are applicable not only in 1v1s, but also 2v2s. Wonder Woman's Lasso of Truth, for example, can grab an opponent for combos. That can also be used on team members to pull them right in front of you if you think you're going to get decked in the face. I actually found this out by accident and it's really funny. Saggy's Sandwich can do damage to opponents but can also heal teammates. If Steven employs his bubble shield, it in turn shields his teammates. These are the only examples I can remember off the top of my head, but I do like the idea of multi-purpose moves. Though good luck trying to coordinate with your teammates in a 2v2, because from my experience, it's just nothing but pure chaos. For offline options, there's a training mode which is pretty self-explanatory, but from what I heard, it's actually less robust than it was in the beta. Get used to hearing that, by the way, just a heads up. You can also create offline matches, but with one gigantic caveat, and we'll get to that later, just put a pin in it. At the time I'm recording this, ranked is completely inaccessible, but the devs did confirm it will be coming in a future patch. When that patch will come is anybody's guess, but whatever. Single-player modes. Something that was sorely missing from the beta outside of arcade mode. The best way to describe rifts in this game is that if you combine small aspects from all the solo campaigns from the Smash series and mashed it into one. Which probably is not the best description. Players go through a map with a set number of challenges themed around a rift's character or franchise. These can range from breaking the targets, defending a crystal, fighting bots with specific conditions, etc, etc. From completing these challenges, you get rewards like fighter currency, which can be used to buy fighters. Again, more on that later. And gems, which are exclusive to this mode. When equipped, they give you certain advantages in battle like dodging with a full meter that will reflect projectiles, 10% chance of an auto dodge, and even granting you abilities specific to other characters. You can also level them up through difficulty tiers. The higher the tiers, the more chances to level up and get more gems. Sometimes you'll get barked at by the game for not having the right attunement for battle, which basically means you'll need the corresponding gems for that specific rift. At the end of each rift is a boss battle. Beat it and you'll not only get rewards, but also get points for the current Agent Smith event. Beat enough rifts and you'll actually be able to get them early for free, which is a neat incentive. Overall, I think rifts are fine. They're a decent distraction from the main game and it still rewards you with goodies. For the most part. Some of the missions can be a little mindless though, especially on lower difficulties where the AI... well... it tries. I do like the idea of rifts having their own little story. The character interactions are nice enough, and they even manage to get a smile out of me every once in a while. What doesn't make me smile is how certain rift nodes are inaccessible if you lack a specific character tied to that node. Sometimes nodes will make you play as a specific character for certain reasons, but if you're an unlucky person and approach a node with a character you don't have, the game will just not let you complete that challenge unless you buy that character. And what's even weirder is that in the new Jason Rift, which came out while I was recording this, you can still play as him as a guest character even if you don't own him. But literally above this node is a series of challenges that lock you out unless you buy him. And it gets even weirder. I ended up getting Harley Quinn in a rotation, and when I went to go do one of the challenge nodes, it still locked me out because it wouldn't let me complete the challenge unless I bought a specific skin, not the character. It's just all so baffling. So that begs the question, how do you buy characters? Fighter currency and Gleamium. Oh boy, let's talk about the currencies. MultiVersus has 4 main currencies. 4 too much, I might add. Perk currency, which I discussed in some detail before. Fighter currency, which I also mentioned before. Prestige currency, which you get from acquiring cosmetics like skins. And finally, Gleamium. Oh, Gleamium. Now, to be honest, in theory, I'm not against this game having multiple different types of currencies. But what I do take issue with is the execution, and the rates the game gives you the currencies in the first place. Let's take fighter currency, for example. As the chart says, you can get fighter currency from doing these mentioned things. Wow, that's a lot of ways to earn this stuff. And to be fair, perk and fighter currency are the most common types of currency you'll encounter. But like I said before, the amount this game gives you is a completely different story. For fighter currency, the most common rate you'll be rewarded with is around 100. Rates can differ, but the low end is like 10 and the high end is around 700, at least that's what I've seen. So, how much does a character typically cost? Around 3,000 fighter currency. Or 6,000 if you're Joker for some reason. Gotta pay for Mark Hamill somehow. By the way, I should mention that in the beta, characters cost around at best 1,000 gold points. Gold points, which was the currency of the beta, and character tokens also existed, which allowed you to unlock characters almost free of charge. Those tokens don't really exist in the final game, unless you were a player from the beta and they carried over. But going back to the price, why is this a problem? Well, fighter currency isn't always super plentiful. Remember when I mentioned rifts can reward you with fighter currency? Well, once you get those rewards, that's it. Even in the higher tiers, which I thought would replenish the currency or maybe give you higher amounts as a reward. But no, that's just for leveling gems, and if you don't care about gems like I honestly do, then the higher tiers currently are just completely meaningless. You can get fighter currency from completing the fighter mastery, but honestly it just gives you like chump change rates. Now to point this out, during the making of this video, the Power Pledge drive went live, which gives players a bunch of perk points and fighters currency for just leveling up your characters, aka playing the game. And you know what? This is actually pretty decent. But unfortunately, it's only going to be available till June 4th, which by the time you're watching this video, it'll already be over, so womp womp. So to get to the point, eventually while playing this game long enough, you'll eventually start to hit a wall. Fighter currency will start to become scarce, meaning you'll have to start grinding, which means unlocking fighters in this game starts to become a pain in the ass. But don't worry, if you don't have fighter currency, you can trade it with Gleamium. Gleamium is the rarest currency in this game and can only be attained through either fighter mastery, events, or the battle pass. Each of these will typically just give you 100 Gleamium. Each. And the current battle pass has like 2,000 Gleamium for just the higher tiers? Meaning that you aren't getting Gleamium very easily from just doing random things. But you know how you can get Gleamium easily? Buy it. With real money. And this, my friends, is in my opinion the worst aspect of MultiVersus for me so far. The monetization in this game is just unappealing, let's say that. And I'm not alone in this. Most places discussing this game have brought up the overt monetization as a net negative, especially for new players like me. But don't worry, it gets worse. The cheapest Gleamium pack you can buy goes for around $4.99 and gives you 450 bits. With the highest you can buy for a pack of 6,000 costing $50. And that'll give you what? The ability to buy a few skin packs? Overpriced skin packs in my opinion. I'm actually starting to wish this game had loot boxes. Or like give us a gachapon machine that we can roll and now give us like cosmetics and characters or tokens or something.
And you don't need to worry about loot boxes, as we'll never have them in MultiVersus.
Or better yet, why not have skins, or at least one of them, be eligible to be unlocked in the fighter's mastery? That would actually be a little fairer in my book. But you know what? Let's talk about characters again. So when new players start the game, you'll only have 5 characters available. 4 out of 5 of those characters you don't actually own. That one outlier being Sagi. The other characters are on rotation and I think that lasts around like a week, hence the timer right next to them. You can still play as them, but if you want skins, perks, and whatnot, you're going to have to buy them. Now I don't have an issue with this per se, as it's nice to try out characters before you purchase them. But for one, in the beta you could try out any character offline. Any character. And 2, remember when I mentioned that caveat about online play? Well, you can only play with the characters you have available to you offline, meaning the entire roster is essentially unavailable. This is just beyond backwards. Not only does this make playing with friends extremely limiting, but it's also going to screw with the tournament scene as well. Hey, it's me from the future. It's June 6th, and the MultiVersus official Twitter account just gave us a recent patch, and it fixes a lot. It fixes a couple of things. For one, you can now play as all characters in training mode, so that's neat. Unfortunately, locals, they still have it locked, which is so stupid. So, baby steps, I guess. Which used the offline versions of the beta, where you could play any character. So now, the competitive scene is going to be put into a difficult position that they never even anticipated. Also, you want to purchase all the characters? Just fork over $155. Nice. Is MultiVersus a fun game? I'd still say yes. Am I having fun with MultiVersus? I would also say yes. I don't want to make it out that Player First Games doesn't have passionate people working on this game. You don't get skins that cut deep, surprising amounts of unique situational dialogue, and nice references from a team that doesn't believe in the project. I honestly believe a lot of the monetization aspects are all because of Warner Brothers. I mean, just look at Suicide Squad and yeah, the story checks out. There is a fun, decent game here buried under the microtransactions, baffling decisions like online matches not going to battle XP, meaning that fighting is basically pointless right now. Which, by the way, fighting in the beta actually gave you battle pass XP, so... it's me from the future again. Well, they had an addendum to that update now. Now player versus player matches now give battle pass XP. Which is really, that's what people have been complaining about. Unfortunately, the monetization still not very great. But you know, baby steps. I hope they're moving in the right direction. The removal of interesting tech and skill, and all the technical bugs. Dear God, I didn't even mention that. This game can seriously lag at times, even in stuff like rift modes. Yep. This is fine. I feel bad because I wanted this game to come swinging out the gate, but it just didn't. When I think about it, all those awkward vibes and concerns I had during those months of wait kinda came true in a weird way. For returning players who have already invested in this game, I think you'll have a decent time here. Player First Games has especially taken care of you. But for newcomers, the most important part of a sustainable player base, this game will give off some bad first impressions, not gonna lie. And while some of this stuff probably will and has been confirmed to be getting patched, the damage is already being done. The game has a mixed rating on Steam. Whenever the official Twitter account posts, they get ratioed, and even the player count has significantly dropped. It's just so unfortunate. With these recent leaks of characters like the Powerpuff Girls, Marceline, and Ruby from RWBY being in the game, it's really cool and it's very exciting stuff. But then I think about the current state of the game and it's like, well, this 4chan post basically sums up my thoughts perfectly. And this one. And this one. I really hope this game gets better. Anyway, I'm gonna go play Sleep Raider.